Hi, it's Wasabi. Welcome back to the channel. It's another tank review video. It's going to be based on the Battle Pass tank that's in the game now for this current season. You can see it in the Battle Pass information. The camp fans are 3 Prj 07HK. It's a post-war prototype tank that was developed to see whether they were interested in a turretless vehicle, so very similar to the concept of the Stridswagens. We'll have a look at the characteristics of it, compare it to some other tanks that you can get in game, and show you some gameplay. But the key thing here is that this is available with tokens in the current season. However, it's 27 tokens, so you won't be able to get it in the current season, but current season ends on May the 30th. So when the next season starts, and you get, if you manage to complete the current season and the collection that's there, you've probably earned 24 tokens at the most. So as you earn another 3 tokens, then you'll be able to basically exchange that in the store for this particular tank. So this video is going to give you an idea to say, well, is that really worth it? So we'll try and answer that question. But let's have a look at the overall characteristics. So now, this again, very similar to the concept of the S-tanks that Swedish created. So it's turretless TD. It's got not a cannon on top, but obviously that doesn't come into how the game operates. 105mm guns, a very standard NATO weapon. We've got a standard round of APCR, which has got average damage of 360 and penetration of 268. A little bit low for a tier 9, but we've got a heat round as the premium round there, so that lifts the penetration up to 320. That drops the shell velocity down to 1020, so you get about 1400 for the standard round. And of course we've got an HE round as well, which it's got average pen of 120, which is not bad. So you could use that against light tanks, but shell velocity, same as the heat round of course, and average damage increases there with that one. So bear that in mind. Now, in common with the Battle Pass reward vehicles, you get basically a free large repair kit. So equivalent to 20,000 credits per game, because it's pretty common to use it. So that's a permanent fixture. You can see the infinite use of it. So it won't cost you anything to use that. Now we've sort of pimped out this particular vehicle. So we've added chocolate there, and you can see we've put in a rammer, binocs, and camo nets are very common for TDs. So there's a bit of a red line sniper. But let's have a look at the characteristics. Now just to give you an idea, this does have a siege mode, so we will take that into account. These stats here are the standard stats, again with the crew skills and equipment, but siege mode changes them, and we'll cover those in the comparisons as well. So here we go again. Standard damage 360, standard pen 268, rate of fire 11. Now this is the thing that changes, so in siege mode that will actually drop. It becomes quite a lot worse in siege mode. The 12 degrees of gun depression, 20 degrees of elevation, and aim time 2.4, dispersion 0.3, and DPM 3.9k, but that actually drops again because in siege mode you get a longer reload time, and it drops down to about 2.3k or whatever, but we'll have a look at that a bit later. 1450 hit points, very little hull armor, very similar to the S-tanks. Don't want to be spotted, otherwise you'll lose a fair bit of your health. What other things can we tell you? Mobility, interesting here, 38 tons, it is about the same as the S-tanks. A bit more engine power and higher specific power, but it does feel a bit more sluggish in my view. Top speed 65, which is excellent, and reverse of 25, which is good. Even in siege mode, still pretty handy, 20 kilometers per hour, both forward and reverse. Quite better than the Striv 103. Traverse speed is a bit slower than the Striv, 31 degrees per minute, compared to, I think the Strivs are in about 40 odd. And 3 seconds switching to siege mode and back to travel mode. Concealment is again very similar, so this is with again cruise skills and camo net getting up to 64, but even without that I think it's fairly similar to the Striv. View range, base view range is not that great, 350, so we've got that increased because of the binocs, etc., up to 515. So that's a bit of a rundown of the skills. Let's go and have a look at the tanks.gg comparison, and we'll have a look at it compared to the Striv 103 and the K91 PT, which is another one of the rewards that you can get in Battle Pass. So let's have a look at that view now. With both the Camp Panzer 3 and the Striv in siege mode. So first thing to notice what the DPM is in siege mode, 2,371. Striv is 2.8k, and this is with similar characteristics. You see the Striv with its basic round has got better pen than the standard round, but it's actually better than the K91 PT. Average damage again slightly lower than the Striv, 360 versus 390, and standard shell velocity, the APCR very similar, but it does carry more rounds than the Striv, although you may not get the chance to use it depending on how the match goes. You can see aim time is worse than the Striv, but better than the K91 PT. Dispersion also better. Now you can see this is dispersion in siege mode, so it comes down to 0.24, and even better with the changes you can make with crew skills and food, etc. Traverse there worse than the Striv, quite a lot worse, and on firing the bloom is better than the Striv actually, so it does recover a bit faster, but of course the reload is a whole lot slower, so sort of comes out in the end. Depression, very similar to Striv, just 1 degree worse. Elevation is the best of those three, and very narrow gun angle there, 2 degrees on each side, so similar to the Striv, but worse. Forward speed, again, this is in siege mode, so it's actually a lot more mobile than the Striv in siege mode. Of course, the K91 PT doesn't have siege mode, so these are all the standard values for that particular tank. And you can see the ground resistance there, quite a bit worse than the Striv. Reverse speed is good and quite usable. Like you can move around, if you're in a particular nest, with these sort of speeds without getting out of siege mode, which is pretty handy. The power to weight ratio is actually better than the Striv, but it just does feel sluggish, and that's probably a lot to do with the terrain resistance. So quite a bit worse than the other two. And you can see the tank traverse there, 29 degrees per minute, whereas the Striv and the K91 quite a lot more rotational velocity there. So it's 2/3 of the speed of those two tanks there. Armour, again, nothing to write home about, nothing really significant there, and total health pool very similar. The other things there, it's camo very similar, so slightly worse than the Striv 103, but otherwise, yeah, it comes out fairly well. But the view range there, 10 meters less than the Striv, and that sort of gives you the overall comparison. So overall, compared to the K91 PT as well, it's a bit of a different tank, of course. Put this in because it's both a Battle Pass reward tank, but it's also turretless in that sense, although it's a bit more like a casemate TD, but again very similar in terms of the layout. But the K91 PT a bit sort of closer to the 268 V4, although really sort of a baby version of that one. So a different game style for that tank. Alright, what I might do is go and show some gameplay, and we'll see how it handles in game. Right, we're on the mines map, and it's a tier 8, tier 9 battle, so we're top tier in this game. Standard matchmaking for this vehicle, so you will see tier 10s of course in it, but you'll get a mix of battles in it there. Alright, so not showing much about mobility here, but we're just coming into a standard spot and see how well the gun actually works. Got some tanks crossing, we don't really get much of a view of those. We are in siege mode here. And we're using the standard round because we've got some tier 8, tier 9 tanks there. So managed to hit the Centurion 7-1, but just on the turret there, so that doesn't penetrate. But now we've got a Conqueror. And you can see the reload time here. I think we're talking about 12 seconds or thereabouts for the reload, so it does feel quite long. And we managed to penetrate with that particular shell. Switch to the heat round there. Again, you know, the turrets on these vehicles, so we're using the heat round here. We've got another tank there, the phase 1. So DPM not fantastic, but the accuracy not too bad, and we are using field mods to improve that a little bit, but it doesn't huge. But we've got the A phase 1, got no problem going through the turret there, just going through the top there. So the accuracy with this sort of mode, not too bad. We are quite on the edge of view range here, so you can see the where the targets are compared to the view range. And we're getting spotted. We are behind a bush, but you see we've got clear vision, so we're not using double bushing at all. But we know there's quite a few tanks on the hill, and we don't have control of the island as well, so in terms of spotting, we haven't really seen a whole lot. Alright, so we've accumulated 1.4 already. It's not too bad, but we don't have a lot of targets. We've just gone up, got another shot in, and now this is part of the game where it's going to run out of targets really. And not too many places we can go on this map. Of course, this is one of the smallest maps in the game, so we don't have a lot of choices here. Tanks on the hill we're getting, but we are starting to pick up some assisted damage as well from the view range here. So our soft target disappears, and we've just got the Conqueror and some other tanks, but they're not coming up. And we've got the Borsig there, spotted on the we tried to slot a shot through the rocks that doesn't connect. He goes dark, another shot in, and we don't see a splash there, so it's possibly a blind shot. We'll have to look at the after battle results. But from this point on, and with this particular game, just to warn you, there's not a whole lot happening, so we don't really have a lot of targets in front, and now we're getting spotted. Now it's not clear what's spotting us, but probably from the hill. Yeah, there's the Brask up there, so we are taking a fair bit of damage. You can see the armour really not doing a whole lot, and quite a lot of blind shots coming into that bush, so we'll switch bushes there. That's not really going to improve the game a great deal. It's got the side of the Centurion 7-1, so we're just putting hopeful shots in here. We're going to send quite a few shots up range, but from this point in the game we're really not going to get a whole lot more damage apart from assisted damage there, and we get spotted again. Yep, there's the Brask up on the hill. So lost most of our hit points now, and just in the wrong position, but the island's been captured, and probably not a whole lot more to show, but I'm just going to relocate here. We'll relocate in a second, so we'll just get an idea of the mobility, but let's just speed it up a second until we can get to the relocation just to show you the movement. So Centurion goes down, so not too many more targets in the middle. Just looking for shots on the island. There's the ML there, but as soon as the ML goes down, we're moving. He says, not moving, but we'll in a second. Alright. We're just trying to hang on to this spot just a bit longer to see whether anyone would push up. The Prj 54 there. Alright, here we go. Alright, so a bit of mobility here. So now we're on the move here. We're still in siege mode, saying 20 kilometers per hour being the limit, but that's not too bad. If you're just moving around in a small area, that's fine. So now we're switching out and building speed reasonably well, but we are sort of going downhill a bit, so it does pick up fairly quickly. So we're getting up to 65k, so reasonable speed here. You see turning is, yeah, not nothing special. And pretty much the game is over at this point, so I'm just going to push forward and see if we can get any more damage. There's the 1:30 PM there is about to get overwhelmed. And so we're not really going to get any more shooting targets here. Everything else is on the map. So that's pretty much the game. We'll go and have a look at the results, but yeah, just tank in motion and mobility reasonable, but more to get around the map than to get early positions is my view. Alright, let's go and have a look at the results. Well, we did get a blind shot in there, so we end up with 2.1k of damage, and we got spotting damage there for 1.5, so 3.6k of combined damage, so not a bad battle, but that was sort of the best result I could get in a fairly short amount of time. Third class mastery badge for that, and we sort of finished in the middle of the pack there in terms of damage and experience. So nothing special, but here's look at some costs here. So pretty much a tech tree tank in terms of credit earnings. It's a reward vehicle, not a premium tank in that sense, although you can move crews in and out, so with no penalty. So if you've got a German TD crew, although this has got a very strange crew layout in the sense that it's driver, well, commander driver and radio operator, and I don't think there's another German TD with exactly the same crew layout with a 3-man crew. So really you're going to be choosing this tank for reasons other than crew training, but certainly not credit earnings. So you can see there with the ammunition use, yes, we fired a few downrange shots that didn't connect, so 11 shots hit out of the 13 we fired and only 6 penetrated, but there weren't a lot of targets there. So we ended up making a loss of 42k. 20 of that was consumables, so we obviously didn't pre-purchase anything with this tank, but even without that we would have come away with a loss in that sense. So you're really not going to be a money-making venture in this tank unless you get full value out of the shells that you fire. So all in all, look, would I buy it with tokens? Yes, because tokens are effectively free. If you're playing Battle Pass and you're earning the tokens, you've got all year to get 27 tokens. You can get that in a tank. Would I pay 27 tokens for it? No, I probably wouldn't. There's plenty of other Battle Pass tanks that you can choose, and I'd take the Kunze-Panzer as an example. When that came out first, it was 18 tokens. I think it was one of the most expensive tokens amounts for a Battle Pass tank at the time, but 2 years later it's down to 12 tokens. So you could expect this to drop in price as it goes. The Cobra, which came out last year, is still 24 tokens. So I'd say another year that's going to drop. And then we've got the BZ58-2, which we've already done a review on, which is also 24 tokens. So this is 27 is the most expensive. So yeah, look, if you're good at playing the S-Tanks and you think you could handle this one, then I think, yeah, it's going to be reasonable. It's definitely a red line sniper. You don't really have a lot of option on city maps. I tried firing it without being in siege mode. I think it is possible. I just couldn't work out the gun handling in time to figure that out. So that's a possibility, but I'll have to try that a little bit later. But for the purpose of this video, everything was done in siege mode in terms of firing the gun. So all in all, yeah, like it's a big fat striv. Mobility looks good on paper, handles reasonably well, but it just feels sluggish moving around, and I think a lot of that's rotational velocity there, just having an impact. Gun handling is quite reasonable, but it's, again, as long as you're used to this type of tank destroyer, you'll probably be able to make better use of the gun than I happen to do for this session that I've been in. So overall, yeah, is it worth it? It's really up to you. If you've got the tokens and you don't have anything to spend it on, then go for your life. But I wouldn't spend 27 tokens on it just yet. I'd have other choices that I'd spend my tokens on right now. Anyway, I hope this review has helped you make a decision. If you've got some value out of it, please give it a thumbs up. That does help it get in front of other people. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please consider doing that. We'll have more content to follow, and thanks very much for watching.